up to since the last time we talked. So,
Oh,
Amber, please introduce yourself.
well,
Let's
thank
talk.
you so much, Sana. I'm Amber J. Adams, and I am the founder of Amber Career Studio. So, since we last spoke and I went on my solo travel journey, I think a big piece of that solo travel journey actually was really coming back to myself.
Mm,
And one of the things that I discovered was not, I knew I always wanted to be a coach. I'll put it that way.
mm,
But I felt like I was able to see how I had been blocking myself from going after the things that I really wanted. And so travel was a big piece of that. And then as I moved back into corporate America, leading a team, et cetera, the feelings that I had about wanting to figure out how could I bring that feeling of freedom back into a career space? How could I help more people experience that feeling for themselves? How could I help more people see how they could help unblock, the things that were keeping them from moving forward? It just became this natural progression for me to decide to really officially pursue coaching. So I got my certification from Brown University,
mm.
program that I absolutely loved. And I have had the honor of coaching people and really helping them figure out, I love to say, how can they turn their career frustration into the momentum they need to move forward?
Well, you said the operatives, a lot of words that I feel very personally driven by. And I know we've actually talked offline where you heard my frustrations in the group chat and reached out to me and just been like, how can I help you? I was like, first of all, I don't know what coaches do. So,
Mm-hmm.
I know we hit on a topic where I was just like, I don't want to feel like I'm wasting someone's time. And you were just like, maybe we need to talk about why that is. So, and maybe reach out to like a therapist or something like that. And I was like, my back of my head, you didn't hear this part. I was like, so what are you for? No. but since you're not a therapist and
No.
but you're a coach, can you kind of give us a little bit of difference? Because I feel like there may be a misconception what
Mm-hmm.
people think is a career coach or a mindset coach. So what is the difference between a coach and a therapist? Just to kind of give
Yeah.
us that breakdown.
Yeah. Thank you. That's such a great question. And I think that's definitely one that people have.
Mhm,
So, therapy, we like to say therapy is looking backwards. It
mhm,
might be looking backwards, it's looking at how did you get to where you currently are? What are the things that maybe happened in your past that led to this moment? It's trying to like figure that stuff out.
right.
But with coaching, what we do is we are very forward facing. So, one of the things that I always tell my clients is that I'm here to be a partner with you. I'm not trying to work with you from a position of kind of like a power imbalance. Like, I'm not here
Mhm,
and you're there. I'm really walking next to you on your coaching journey, and I'm helping you to figure out how can you move forward. So one of the things that's so important when I'm talking to people is that I don't necessarily need the background story. And I
okay.
think that's one sometimes that can be a fun space where it's talking to people and, letting them know I don't necessarily need the background story. I want to know what are the changes that you want to make. I want to know that you want to make changes, but maybe you don't know what they are.
Right.
So it's not necessarily going back and maybe digging deeper, but our whole goal is how can we move you forward? Like that's what it's really all about, is figuring out how to get you going
Mhm,
and get beyond that space where maybe you feel stuck or you have some challenges and you can't necessarily figure out how to get the thing going. Whereas with therapy, I think you can have some therapists that probably dip into that and they really dip into like strategies and tools and et cetera, et cetera. But the coach is more for helping you move forward, to partner with you, to be with you on that journey, to hold that space for you as you go through that journey. And then we're able to do things like challenge you where we see that, you could benefit from being challenged, hold
mhm,
spaces of accountability for you as well, where it's like, you want to do these things, but you need someone to be accountable to. And
mhm,
everybody has their different styles of coaching. Like I am very, um, I'm direct. I'm matter of fact, but I'm also very grounded. Like my goal is
mhm,
really to be a grounded, rooting presence for my clients, because working in the space of career coaching, you know, I know that people spend chaotic days at work. Like, it can be chaos. You're going from the meetings and running around, and so much of your schedule isn't by your own design. So when people come to me and they're talking to me, when they come to Amber Career Studio, into my space, I intentionally designed it to be a calming space, to be grounded, to be rooted. I wanted people to feel like they're coming to a career spa, like whatever it
Oh,
is that
I
you
like
can
that.
imagine. Yes. What would
Yes.
a career spa mean? That's what I wanted people to feel like when you were coming to me and I'm coaching you, and you're at Amber Career Studio and you're seeing what are the offerings, what can we do for you? I wanted you to feel like you were coming to a place where you could go and
Yeah.
you could take that deep breath.
Because I feel like with us, like, as just because I know we're both still in our entrepreneur endeavors, but we're still working in, our main gigs as well. We're always on that constant go. So hearing something that says career spa is just like, oh, this is a relaxed space. Because, like, I feel like when we're thinking career, we have to be like on it. We have to be like da da
Right.
da da. Like, because
Yes.
again, time is money, and we don't want to interfere. We want to make sure we're getting the bang for our buck. But I feel like we can have a duality when it comes to a
Mm-hmm.
career spot. Like, I can rest and also still work on some career things. So I like that. That's great.
Exactly.
I like
Exactly. It's
it.
almost like reclaiming that rest for yourself. So I like
Mm,
to say that I use a lot of rewords. So
mm,
when you visit me, the first thing I'm asking is, how can we reimagine your career? How
mm,
can we think about how you need to reconnect? How do you want to
mm.
reconnect with
Yeah.
who you truly are? Because, like you were saying, when we're in those quote unquote professional spaces, you are encouraged to block so much of who you are. You're
Mm-hmm.
encouraged to block out what you really feel. It's basically putting on this mask for 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and it's
Yes.
completely exhausting. So I tell my clients all the time, I'm not the career coach for you. If you're the person who wants to kind of maintain that professional veneer, i'm
Mhm.
not i'm not that girl. For me, I'm all about how can we get underneath that. How can we help you get away from spaces where you have to mask? How can we get this mask off and really take care of what's underneath it and let that shine and let that move forward?
Right. Let me ask
Yeah.
you this quick question. Just
Mm-hmm.
kind of, if you don't mind, like, if I give you an example for your
Yeah.
coaching expertise. So when it comes to unmasking, are you thinking that,
Mm-hmm.
like, can a person unmask at work, or are we unmasking just in our after work? And is that
Mm.
something, or is there a way to professionally unmask? And because I feel like as Black women, and women in general, because not just a racial thing, women have always been taught to mask their emotions in
Yes.
everyday life. Smile, grin and bear.
Yeah.
But do you think there is a way that a person can professionally unmask and
Mm-hmm.
be more present who they are, and still, be as professional
Yeah.
and just be themselves?
That's such a great question. I think, and what I see and what I tend to work with people on is first unmasking you.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we think about it, the fact that you've been masked for so long, sometimes people have lost sight of who
Mm,
they truly are and
right.
how they truly want to operate, because we're going through these spaces and these places and we keep trying to push through situations that don't really honor who we are in the first place. So the first step for me is, how can we help you take that mask off and discover what's underneath? How can we take care of what's underneath? And then
Mm-hmm.
once we get to that place, you have the broader question, which is, as the person that I truly am, do I need to be in this space? Is this space equipped to honor who I am, who I want to be, where I want to go? The answer might be yes, the answer might be no. But where I really come in at with the coaching is from that deeper place of, we need to see what all this is first. We
Mm-hmm.
need to really gain that awareness. We really need to take that off before we can get you moving forward and say, okay, you need a new job because this place is toxic. Because the thing that can happen, and this was one thing, like I initially was kind of afraid to get into
Mm-hmm.
career coaching. I was like, I don't know if this is for me because I've never been little Miss Corporate, rah, 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 like let's put on our power suit and go. That's never been my vibe, right?
Right.
And so I
Same.
initially didn't know if this could even be for me because I kind of had that feeling of, well, if a person's in the toxic space and you move to a new job, the reality is none of us know. We don't know what that next opportunity is really going to be like until you get in there. And so, what I want to work with people on, and what I do work with people on, is building up yourself as who you are, your resilience, your reconnection to who you really want to be, that reimagining of who you really
Mm-hmm.
want to be, so that if you do land in a space that's not honoring you, you know it a heck of a lot quicker than
True.
maybe you did before. And
That's
you're able to either call it, move
mm-hmm.
on. Maybe you're asking different questions, more, kind of sharper questions when you're in those interviews, but you're
Yeah.
coming from a totally different place.
Yeah. And I like that you
Mm-hmm.
talk about the sharper questions because I feel like I know I do in my interviews, I get my basic questions, but also having that feeling empowered. I think that's where a lot of people feel they don't feel empowered because you feel like,
Yeah,
okay, you're already, you're asking for the job, but you also have to remember that they want a person to fit the job. So it's not
right.
always a big power play, but you kind of have to understand that you do have power at the same time to kind of ask them
Exactly.
some powerful questions. Okay, well, tell me
Yeah.
a little bit more about like who would be for your studio, Amber's career studio. Who would
Hmm.
be like some of your ideal clients that you would want to be able to
Yeah.
help?
Yeah, my ideal clients, or my dream clients, as I like to say, are people who are really in that mid-career space,
Hmm.
because I recognize that that mid-career space to me is fun. It's messy. It can be messy. And I guess I like the chaos of that, but that
Hmm.
mid-career space is interesting because you've had, time behind you, and
Hmm.
so you know where you've been, but you may not know where you want to go, and there's still a lot of road ahead of you. Like I did a career survey not too long ago, and one of the questions I asked was, what do you think about, how do you feel when you think that there's like another 20 years, 20 plus years more of your career? And
Yes.
I got some really interesting, some really whoa answers, because it's like,
Mm.
oh, okay, thinking about that really stops people. But I love that mid career space because I get so excited thinking about the momentum
Mhm.
of what it feels like to move things forward. The fact that if you still have road in front of you, that means that you can make changes, that nothing is set in stone, that there is all of this space that you can go in and reimagine what you want your career to feel like, who you want to be, how do you really truly want to show up. And it's just fun. So mid-career, people who identify as mid-career, millennials. I'm a millennial loving girl, have always been. Everything that I've done has been really focused on millennial generation
Mhm.
because I think that millennials occupy such an interesting space where we're in the fork in the road. We've been like at a
Mhm.
permanent fork in the road since we got out of college,
Yeah,
basically,
because
where
we
we were
we
kind of,
ones. Mhm.
yes, we were
Yeah, I know
told
I
that
know
you
what you're
do
talking
this.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got into, like, the whole, like, "Ooh, this is a recession."
Yes. This is
Like
right. Oh, I
like
ain't never heard of that before.
right,
When
we
the
were
last
told
time
to
there
go
was
to
a recession, we were
yes,
kids. And
yes,
so, we still had these ideas of what we were told life and jobs and work and career was supposed to be like.
go to
But
college, get
then
the
we
job.
also, exactly, and everything was
Mhm,
just going to turn out fine. But we've been lingering at the fork in the road for a while. And my personal belief is that I think we have such an amazing opportunity to push things forward, but it's an opportunity that we really have to step up to.
mhm,
And I think that we have a decision to make. Do we want to thrive or do we want to just survive? But in order to thrive, we've got to recognize that we have to rewrite this story because the story that we inherited, it's a hot mess,
mm.
not in a good way.
Yeah,
Not a good one.
it reminds me of a quote when Obama got into office, and they said
Yeah.
that he walked into a ish covered room and was asked to clean it up with a sponge. I was like, that's kind of how I feel about like our generation, and like
Yeah.
it's tough.
Right.
And I think we're really trying to like because we're caught in between the ideas of finding a space to sit
Yes.
and do our jobs for the next 20 years, but also like, do I have to live the life that our parents or our
Yeah.
parents lived? And we're like, no, right?
No.
Like
Right. I mean, the
some
reality
people
is
look great,
we have so many more opportunities than our anyone had than our parents, our grandparents, our
Mhm.
great grandparents. I mean, the further back you get, it's if you're a person of color and a woman in this country, things have massively shifted for all of us. And so we have a lot of opportunity, but we also have a lot of choices. And sometimes I think that can be overwhelming as well. So it's kind of reconnecting to those choices. So I love like that mid-career space. Like those are ideal clients for me. People who are really looking and saying, I want to move forward. You
Right.
know, maybe they're feeling stuck and they don't know maybe why they feel stuck, or they know. Like I remember when this was a couple of years ago before I traveled. So kind of like leading up to the catalyst for me deciding to take a career break and change my life.
Mm.
I remember going to work every day and like commuting to my job and like running after the bus because I lived in New York City in my little shoes that I had gotten from like not Payless or like Target or whatever, like shoes that did not offer me proper arch support. And like running to the bus and barely making it. Some days I didn't make it. But I remember sitting there and like riding over the bridge from Queens into Harlem
Mm.
and thinking to myself, is this what my parents brought me into this world for? Like, is this it? You know, is this really it? And so it's that. Those are the people that if you're somebody who's like, is this it? If you're questioning and you know, maybe you're on that road to feeling like I think a numbness, because I think a lot of us numb. We
Yeah.
numb the Netflix, we numb
The
with the
mess.
wine, the vaping, whatever, the mask, whatever it might be.
Mhm.
It's how do we get people to feel connected to their life force again, because life is short, and that
Yeah.
drives me. It drives me so much. So yes, mid-career, millennials,
Mhm.
people who are feeling stuck, people who are knowing that maybe they have some stories that they've been carrying with them
Yeah.
about who they are and what they think they're capable of that need to be released
Mhm.
so that they can move forward. Like I'm just all in the game of helping people move forward in a grounded and calm, spalicious way.
Well, I can tell you it's working for me, honey, because I'm like, like, but seriously, not just because I know you and we've been friends,
Yeah.
but like you do, because I think this is probably my second time talking to you in the career aspect and frame.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have a very like, okay, I could tell her, but I also because we both got the ADD brain, I'd be like, I could tell
Yeah.
her everything, but I also have to stay on task. But that's my hard
Yeah.
part. I'll be like, there, let me tell you about this
Yeah.
other situation. Okay, so
Right.
let's kind of because we get the essence. So can we get into a little bit like the how what do you do aspect? Because I know you're a
Mm-hmm.
partner, but like, so what kind of services would you have in your career
Yeah.
coaching? Is it like resumes, or do you do interview prep or help people search for jobs, or
Mm-hmm.
is it just like helping people stay in like the normal regular career, or is it with entrepreneurs? Can you give
Yeah.
us a little bit more like what do you do and how do you do it?
I can. That's such a great question because I know when you hear career coaching, it's like, why?
Very
Like,
vast, yes.
it's very vast. There's like so many different pieces.
Hmm.
So I really focus on one-on-one sessions right now, and then I'm going to move into group coaching. I'm super excited when I get to
Okay.
build a community. Like,
Yeah.
but one-on-one at the moment.
Hmm.
And what I really focus on, I always love to tell people, I want to know you beyond the bullets on your resume. So,
Okay.
like, I want people coming to me before you're at that I'm pulling together a resume point,
Hmm.
because I want to talk about why are we putting together this resume? Like, what is it that you're trying to do? Where are you trying to go? How are we moving you forward on what you want to do? So for me, I don't typically like, I wouldn't do like, if someone wanted me to look at their resume, I'm happy to give feedback, but it's not a
Mhm.
primary service for me because my feedback is going to turn into, tell me what's on this page that you really enjoyed. You
Okay.
know, what drove you for X, Y, and Z. So
Mhm.
it's more that I've done interview prep with people, but again, that interview prep isn't like we're gonna sit here and I'm gonna like pretend to ask you questions.
Mhm.
It's really asking, what do you want to get out of this interview? Like I really focus on the individual, you
Okay.
know. So there's like I kind of look at it as an internal career coaching, and then there's the external. So the external to me is like the
Mhm.
interview prep, it's the
Okay.
resume stuff, it's the finding the job search. I'm working with the internal. I want you to come to me so that you can feel a sense of ownership of your
Mhm.
career. There's a lot of like the space once you get to like the recruiter stages and stuff like that, it becomes extremely subjective. Should it be Times New Roman font? Should it be Georgia? Should it be Ariel? All these questions that you can't answer. My
Mhm.
thing is, how can we get you really confident in your story, able to go out and share with people so that before you're even on anybody's job board, you
Mhm.
have the ability to have conversations with people and know what it is you want to tell them about you, how you want to position yourself. So my I do then the one-on-one coaching is more around grounding, getting that awareness,
Mhm.
looking at how we can jumpstart. Like I actually call it literally momentum, looking at how we can get that momentum to get you moving forward. And then the next layer of services that I offer are around the personal branding aspect. So, how do you tell your story? How do you want to position yourself? How are we framing your experience? How are we making sure that when you walk into a room, you know who you're walking in as, and that you're doing this even before you need the new job. So it's really about taking ownership of your narrative.
Yeah.
And then the next piece of things that this is the next layer, you're getting all the tea.
Okay. Ooh, I love tea.
Doing
Sounds
okay,
hot and delicious. Okay.
it's doing workshops. And so
Okay.
I think everyone, people who know me or you beat me off, travel is a big part of my life. I took a travel
Mhm.
break and I designed that travel break in a very specific way because I was 34 when I took this break. So I wasn't like some kid fresh out of university. I had a whole career, I had been working. I decided
Mhm.
to take time off and then get back into the workspace. And so I designed for myself a way to be able to do that so that I could take a break. I say take a break without breaking your career. And so I
Okay.
want to design workshops around that to help people who have a desire to take a career break, who want to do maybe a mini sabbatical, whatever
Mm.
length you want it to be. I'm designing workshops to help people with that as well.
That's dope because that's something again that we don't think about. We get out maybe 4 weeks of vacation after XYZ
Yeah.
amount of years. And so teaching somebody, because that's the one thing with America, we don't have built in like time like
Hmm.
other countries do. So we have to always earn our time, even though we're
Yeah.
in tangent. I'm about to go down one. Because we already know what's going on in America right now. So, ooh. But
Yeah.
I love that aspect because I think like we don't know how to build in that time, how to
Hmm.
save for it. I'm assuming that
Yeah.
maybe be how to like
Yeah.
save for it and set yourself up to take those breaks and looking at because there a lot of people don't even know about options that the company has to take like personal leave of
Right.
absence and
Yeah. Yep.
educating people on those kind of things. Well, because so we're getting close to the time, so I want to ask like the big question, like
Okay.
so why would someone decide that now is the time to get a coach?
Good question.
And what makes an investment in coaching worth it? So
Yeah.
just to go and get down to the nitty gritty, because I feel like people are always like, why? Why do I need a
Yeah.
mentor? Why do I need this?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like just tell us why we need to get a Amber in our
Oh,
life.
God. Oh, yes, an I love it. An amber. Everyone needs an amber. Um, I would say the biggest thing is I think there's different types of people. So there are some people who may be at a point in their life where they don't like what's happening in terms of like they're feeling that stuck. They don't have the momentum, but they may not actually have the momentum to change either. They
Mm,
recognize it for what it is, but they're okay with being where they are.
yeah.
That's not my person. That's not my jam. My jam is people who are recognizing. So, when is it, why is now the time to get a coach?
Hmm.
When you have started to feel as if, I mean, the drastic piece of it is you're wasting your days. When there is a disconnect between who you are and how you want to operate,
Yeah.
and you're looking at the fact, because we're not spring chickens. If you're in your mid-career, you've probably gone through some life things, or you've seen other people go through life things. Like, we have an awareness that our time
Yeah.
is finite. And
Hmm.
so when you're at a place where you're looking and you're saying, you know what, this ain't it, this ain't it,
Yeah.
that's when I would encourage someone to really start and say, how can I make this investment in myself? Because it is an investment in yourself. No one needs a coach. I'm a coach who will flat out tell you, nobody, essentially, you need a coach, but it's not something you're ever going to be in awareness that you need until you actually do it.
Yeah.
But everybody needs to find ways to invest in themselves in some capacity. And so coaching is one of those lanes that someone can do, because it is so important to invest in yourself. Like, if you think about, once we get out of school, if you're somebody who took the university route, the opportunities to invest in yourself suddenly become on you. No one's pushing you
Right.
anymore
You're like,
to
huh?
invest in you. No one's saying you need to keep growing and keep going.
Yeah.
It becomes about, how do you decide that you're going to do this for you? And so making the investment in coaching, I know, like, the first time that I did it, I was like, whew, okay, what am I doing? I definitely had that feeling. But once I did it, and this I did like one of my first career coaching programs a couple of years ago, and I did it. And that really was a big catalyst for me to say, you know what? I knew I wanted to help people in this way, but now I feel like I'm kicking the door open. But just
Hmm.
seeing the changes within myself,
Yeah.
having somebody to be that accountability for you, that's not a friend, that's not somebody that has a love for you on the line. Like, I enjoy my clients, but it's different when, if it's like a
Yeah.
family member or your friend, you feel like, oh my God, I can't let them down. It's a
You
different
feel
feeling.
personally invested.
Exactly. And so
Hmm.
while I feel personally invested in my clients, they also have to feel personally invested in themselves. And
Yeah.
so making that investment in coaching, that's showing up. To me, it's the hand raise. It's
Hmm.
saying, I want to do this. I want to move forward. I'm looking at my situation. It is not sustainable. I don't want to do this for another day. And so you may have some people who reach that point of urgency. It is the now.
Hmm.
But then there's also a space that I like to be, that is that more holistic space, where it's the almost, like, I like to think of it as like your glam squad, right? Like
Hmm.
the way that Beyonce has the hair, she has makeup, and you have a different person that is on your team, and they're all there for you to make sure that you're able to show up and be your best and give your best. To me,
Hmm.
a coach is one of those people. So on one hand, you have the urgency of the, my life is life, and it is not life in the way I wanted to life. But then on the
Hmm.
other hand, there's also, I'm a beautiful person and I deserve to show up as my most beautiful. And to have
Hmm.
somebody to help you facilitate that is an
Yeah.
amazing thing. Yeah.
And I feel like with us, because we are an individualistic country, we think
Yes.
that we have to do everything by ourselves.
Oh
And
yeah.
because I'm like, if you can get a physical, not a physical therapist, a physical trainer, then you can get
Hmm.
a correct
Yeah.
career trainer. You need help. And so
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm getting from just talking with you and understanding the idea of a coach. And just, it's more about, because people get so scared about humbling themselves or
Yeah.
anything. It's more just like, just, you sometimes you have to reach out for help. And that's one of
Yes.
the things,
Help
like,
and support. Like,
yeah,
it's totally
support.
okay
Mm-hmm.
to get support for yourself. And I think what's really magical about this moment that we're in, I think there's a lot of opportunity in terms of how we want to redefine leadership. And I don't know if I've dropped that. Like, I got a certification in leadership and executive coaching specifically because
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
it's not even that I'm just gunning to work with executives. I do, and I enjoy that work,
Yeah.
but because I wanted everyone to be able to get the experience of taking the lead in their life, in their story. And so
Yes.
I was very intentional
Yeah.
about that. So it's really getting the support and being able to move yourself forward. And it does take a village to do so. And you're right, we are, especially in the US, such an individualistic country. All of our sayings are essentially around pull your bootstraps up.
Mm.
You got to do it. You
Yeah.
know, we don't create space to bring other people into the process, and we need that.
Yeah.
Everybody needs that. No one, was there no I in team. There's no one who
Right.
can do everything on their own. Like, it's just completely impossible. I mean, me sitting here today and coaching people and being able to realize my dream of helping people realize their dreams and get the momentum and move on is the product of so many people who have encouraged me. It's the
Yeah.
product of places where I decided to invest in myself. Going off to travel was an investment in myself, and it was a scary one. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it wasn't that I was like, we. I mean, I was like, we, but it was also kind of like, okay, it took me a minute. I had a coach when I was traveling. I don't think that's
Mm.
something I've really said as much, but
No,
I
never.
did. I got a coach while I was traveling because I
Mhm.
knew I needed to figure out how to be present
Yeah.
because I was so used to running on that corporate chaotic energy.
Mhm.
Here I am giving myself this beautiful experience. I need to figure out how to be in this experience. And, you know, there's other travel things I had along the way. And for me, I was just kind of collecting them and really
Mhm.
bringing them back to this space so that I could create something for people that would give them that same vibe. I didn't want to have that chaotic energy. I wanted it to be calm. I wanted it to feel like support. And
Yeah.
I wanted people to arrive there and feel like this investment, like I deserve this. I
Yes.
deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we feel like we have to earn it, but I'm like, no, you just deserve it because you are a human and
Yeah.
you can do it. And we're like, what? Well, Amber, I feel like we can definitely talk about this all
Yeah.
day, but I
I
think
can.
this
I
was
love it.
and I love your passion because it's like a very like it's a calm passion. You smile when you're talking about this, and I can see that. Like I'm getting chills just thinking about like how much gems that I've gotten from this conversation and just
Oh.
how much I can get more by just being like a student of yours or a coachee. Is that what I don't know. But I can imagine like how your clients are transforming. So but I know we're here at our time. So I want you to go ahead and tell everyone where they can reach out to you, um,
Hmm.
how they can get set up with your services or your spa services and career spot and just like and start taking control and that empowerment. So please let everybody know
Yes,
how they can
for sure.
contact you.
So I can be found at ambercareerstudio.com. Amber Career Studio on Instagram. And I have a weekly newsletter called the Sunday Reset that I send out. And it sounds just as it is. The Sunday Reset is all
Mhm.
about how can you reset your energy going into the week. And that can be found on my website as well. So that's an easy place to start working with me, how to really catch the vibes early on every Sunday, catching it on the Instagram as well. But also, you will see a space where you can jump on a call with me. So I
Oh,
always jump on a call with people because we want to make sure that our spa services, our synergy, really flows well together.
yeah.
So if you go to my site, you'll see where you can get on a call, we can get on my schedule, and we can talk and see what we can make happen, see how we can move it forward.
All right. Well, y'all make sure y'all schedule your talk with Amber. Get into the mailing list, Sunday Reset, and just start taking control of your lives because you can
Yeah.
control it. I think we're so used to the world controlling everything about ourselves that us
Mm.
having that control is like, I can do that. Yeah, you can do whatever you
Yes.
want.
Yes. Yes. You can do whatever you want. And like,
Mhm.
I see your sign behind you that says hustle harder. And I
Yes.
have to say, if I would create a sign, it would
Mhm.
say more flow, less hustle.
You know what? I agree with that because I think that's again the hustle. I think the hustle culture, again, one last tangent, I promise. The hustle culture is the product of capitalism, and I can go down that road all
Hmm.
day. But
Yeah,
let's learn how
yeah,
to make capitalism work for us, I think. It's kind of really
exactly.
what we
It's
need
a
to do.
system that we have,
Mhm.
but who's to say that we don't get to redesign? See, redesign, reimagine. I use a lot of rewords. It's exciting.
Mhm.
Who's to say we don't get to reimagine what that looks like?
Yeah. I think you need a t-shirt that says, "Let's put the re back in, redesign, reimagine," or something. I
Oh,
don't know. Something like that.
I do. That's another big dream. I have several big things along the way, but I
Got you.
definitely would love to have a line of cute products that people can have that remind them
Yes.
of to stop and think about how they would reimagine, how they would take the lead. So it's
Yeah.
coming.
I see it. I see the vision.
I see the
Ew.
vision.
Girl, well, thank you so much for allowing me to talk to you about this and just
Yes.
hear on the cosigns and tangents. And I just look forward to everything you're gonna do because it's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I'm
Well,
excited. Thank you, Sana, for having me. I
you are
appreciate it.
more than welcome, honey girl. Thank you. And
Thank
I guess
you.
have a great day, everybody. Talk to Amber, get your life.
Get That's perfect. Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.